Last week, if you can remember back to that, we reviewed all of the 7 factors in a general way, the 7 factors of optimal presence or awakening or enlightenment. And in the next 7 weeks, we're going to take one factor at a time for each week in a way that reviews and reminds us of what each factor is about. So this week we're starting with mindfulness or sati. And it certainly seems that in our world today, we have more and more ways of being engaged in unmindful activities, caught up in our devices, our games, our news feeds, our podcasts, our social media, our smart TVs. The list is endless. However, we also hear the term mindfulness being used pervasively. Indeed, mindfulness has become such a ubiquitous term in our current culture, so commonplace that it seems to apply to everything, as well as not meaning much of anything. The risk in being used so pervasively is that we come to think of mindfulness and paying attention as synonymous. But we all pay attention in our ordinary, unmindful way all day long. I certainly do. We pay attention through a filter of our conditioned and habituated stories, preferences, biases, opinions, likes and dislikes that usually put us as the central character, the star of our production. As soon as I wake up in the morning, the flow of experience begins. I remember the dream I woke up from and start thinking about what it might mean and try to hold on to any pleasant feelings or push away any unpleasant feelings. I notice the cat sleeping next to me and I like the cozy feeling. I think about how chilly it will feel to get out of bed, and I don't like the thought of getting out of bed, and I just want to stay snuggled under the covers. The unending flow of experience begins. The I wants, I don't want, I don't like, a constant twizzle, as Susan would say. This is our default mode for usual attention. Noticing gets all tangled up with our judgments and reactivity of like and dislike, past and future, grasping and pushing away, and just don't care. And I don't know about you, but this is how I often go through my day, caught up in my own limited, Lori perspective. Or I just space out and go on autopilot. For example, the experience of driving home from the grocery store and not really noticing how I got from point A to point B. I knew I was driving a car. I stopped at stoplights. I mostly abided by speed limits, but I was lost in thought much of the way, judging and reacting. I should have been kinder to the grocery clerk. I shouldn't have bought that bag of potato chips. That driver's going too slow. I shouldn't be so impatient. I'm tired and I wish I had time for a nap. And on it goes. You know the routine. Or I can remember to bring mindfulness to the fore, to invite sati to be present. I can notice that I've been caught up in a train of thought, not attending to my present moment experience. I can notice my hands gripping the steering wheel. My breathing is shallow. I can notice tightness in my shoulders. While mindfulness begins with this kind of noticing what is happening in the moment and bringing attention to that, it doesn't stop there. Noticing is simply the first step. Months ago, when we first addressed this first factor, Bill spoke about Uniso Manasikara. Uniso meaning birthing or origin, Manasikara meaning attention. So the quality of wise attention, or the origin or birthing of mindful attention. He pointed out that we have no control over the ongoing flow of experience. Experiences just keep coming at us, making contact with our senses. And spontaneously from that, feelings arise of pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. While we can't stop this flow of experience or the automatic feelings that arise, we can become more skillful in being aware of this constant flow of experience, moment after moment, the birth of one experience after another. We do have a choice once we notice experiences arising to respond rather than habitually react. Respond by bringing the quality of mindfulness to the fore. And we practice in order to bring this forth as early as we can in this process of our experiences being born. Once we notice what our external and internal experience is in this moment, we can then intentionally choose to set aside our ordinary, limited, judging, reacting, storytelling mind before we get all entangled in it, and bring a kinder, wiser quality of attention, of mindfulness, more skillful, more nurturing, wholesome attitude and attention to this birthing of experience with a sense of wonder, interest, tenderness. This bringing forth of mindfulness practice as a way to reduce our stressfulness and suffering was one of the Buddha's greatest gifts to us. Applying this to my driving example, as I invite mindfulness and a quality of wise attention to come forth, I can begin to move beyond just the noticing that I'm lost in thought with its attendant judgment and pleasant and unpleasant feelings, and invite a kinder, wiser perspective. I can take a deep breath and loosen and soften my hands and my shoulders. I can see that the sun is shining and warmth is coming in through my windshield. Trees are beginning to blossom and I can feel my heart softening. Impatience is present. It may feel tight in my chest and jaw. Feeling into that with acceptance and the care as if of a kind and wise, beneficial other presence. Care and interest without judging or reacting. I can notice that I'm not the only driver on the road, and see with kinder eyes and a more open heart that we all just want to get where we're going and be safe and happy. Susan emphasized that this skillful, wholesome quality of mindful, wise attention arises out of a union, a coming together of heart and mind. The mind notices what is happening in this moment, and the heart feels with what is happening without injecting our self-identified preferences and biases. This non-judgmental attitude of mindfulness involves an acceptance, kindliness, welcoming to all that is arising as being worthy of my care, of my interest, and of my attention. Whatever experience is arising is equally worthy of my attending to as all others, seeing all with kind eyes and a caring heart. Rather than getting entangled in unmindful, self-involved, judgmental attention as we encounter this never-ending flow of experiences that make up our lives, we can bring forth the extraordinary quality of wise mindfulness to greet the birth of all of our ordinary moments of experience. Thich Nhat Hanh often used the example of doing dishes, an activity that we often do mindlessly. We're attending to scraping off the food, washing, rinsing, or setting in the dishwasher, but there's little caring or interest. It may be unpleasant or neutral. However, when we bring mindfulness, we are aware of the nuances, the details, the temperature of the water, how that feels on our hands, the slipperiness of the soap suds, watching the little bubbles that may spurt out of the soap dispenser, the weight of each dish and utensil, the squeaky sound of a clean dish, the motions of hands and arms as dishes are dried and gently set down or put away. Each experience is attended to with caring interest and attention, and seemingly naturally joy and contentment may arise. We can practice welcoming mindfulness to all sorts of ordinary activities. Getting dressed, taking a shower, brushing our teeth, going for a walk. We might practice mindful eating, being fully present without preference or identification for the food on our plate and our experience of eating, without reaching for the TV remote or playing with our smartphone or computer. My particular favorite activity, and I may have mentioned this before, for cultivating mindfulness is cleaning out the cat litter. And I've been doing this for decades, carefully scooping out all the little left treasures by my dear little kittens, feeling the texture of the litter against the scoop, hearing the crunching sound the scoop makes in the litter, feeling the scrape against the sides and the bottom of the litter box, even smelling the scent of the litter and the underlying smells of all the cat treasures and leavings. Attending to and caring about all of this, the pleasant, the unpleasant, and the neutral, without preference or pushing away or holding on. Mindfulness in these routine activities helps us feel into and live into the embodied experience Susan describes of mindfulness as seeing and feeling clearly from a very particular perspective, a quality stemming from the joining of heart and mind of a non-judgmental, non-self-identified, interested posture of caring attention to whatever experience is being born in the current moment, without preference or bias, welcoming all equally into the fold of mindfulness. So thank you for your kind, wise, mindful attention. And let's practice this. Let's practice sitting with sati as we begin the noticing, remembering to remember to bring mindfulness to our body. How's it going in there, kiddo? Ah, Equally attending to and caring about what's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, honoring what feels at ease in the body and what might feel a little glitchy or achy or tight. Bringing our wise attention to each of those, to all of the experiences that keep arising one after the other. And perhaps bringing mindful attention to breathing, to the breath. Noticing and caring about with keen interest the natural flow of breathing that's already happening. Breathing in followed by breathing out. One breath being born after another. Tending to each breath with loving, caring, engaged attention. Welcoming the non-judgmental, non-identified presence of sati. As if observing each experience from the perspective of a wise and kind benefactor or elder. Settling back, receiving the flow of experiences and feelings and greeting them with the quality and perspective of mindful awareness. And when you notice the mind has gotten caught up in usual ways of thinking, planning, storytelling, judging, push, pull, just invite mindfulness, sati, to the fore. Bringing an attitude of caring and interested attention to this precious experience, just as it is, just here, just now. kind eyes, caring heart. Precious moment, wonderful moment.